So when I last spoke to you, it was Tuesday and we had gone to the northern part of Torbay and just around the peninsula to Brixham. It's now Thursday and I'm at the opposite end of the bay. This is the south end of Torbay at Brixham, and it's quite a giant peninsula really. I'm not quite sure exactly where to go from here. There is a path, obviously, that leads from Brixham here, which is the harbour, and it goes all the way round the bay, and in theory all the way to Brixham. But there's an extra little bit that goes around the peninsula just beyond Brixham. I hadn't thought that was going to be very far, but on the map it's saying it's quite a long way, and you can see that the weather is not anywhere near as nice as it was 2 days ago. Yesterday we journeyed inland and went to a working Benedictine monastery called Buckfast, and looked around a little village called Holm, which was on Dartmoor, which was nice. Tomorrow's our last day here, so today was going to be the sort of the seafront. It is now raining. I have to say that I don't think I'm going to go now to the end of the peninsula that Brixham's on the south side. I think I'm just literally going to try and make it back from Brixham all the way and do all the little things along the coast, all the little attractions along the coast. So there we are. This is Brixham Harbour anyway. And finally we've managed to get into Torbay at low tide. So I'm sure you remember when I said I was just going to go from Brixham north. Well, I changed my mind. And this is the walk from Brixham south, which goes round the peninsula. And I'm sort of heading this way because it has suddenly become a bit nicer. It's basically showers, cloud and showers all day. What I didn't know is that this place, Brixham, is where King William of Orange landed to sort of be invited to take over the monarchy when the Glorious Revolution happened, which is not a brilliant thing for anybody who is likes the way that the monarchy was compared to what it is now, because that's the turning point. That's effectively when they lost power to Parliament under William of Orange, who was a foreign king, married in, and for the first time we had two monarchs married to each other, obviously William and Mary, and it was through Mary's line, not William's, that he had any right at all to rule, and of course they had a very different perception of what monarchy was, and ended up basically letting Parliament take over the reins. So this was where he landed on the south coast, Brixham, and I actually didn't know that. I suppose I could have found it out, but so you see there's a lot of statues and stuff to him. This area is dominated by Brixham Harbour, which is that bit over there, and then that placed inside a larger marina here with a tidal breakwater that runs all the way along there. Beyond that is something called Breakwater Beach, which is where I'm headed. And that's basically the last port of call before you get to what can only be described, I suppose, as a nature reserve on the cliff that goes round the peninsula and into, well, Dartmouth Bay, I suppose. The path that I know of starts at the first beach on that other side, called St Mary's. Ironic, because of course that would be as far south as we could go, and as far north as we could go is St Mary's Church, which is beyond Oddicombe and Babbacombe. You can start to see the bay though all the way across there. I don't know if I can zoom in so you can see the bay on the far side. That's Torquay, you say, and then you'd go around and Babbacombe would be on the other side. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm walking and stopping at every attraction on the way. So this is Breakwater Beach. Now the breakwater is that thing there, designed I think to stop really heavy waves that might come in from the bay and threaten Brixham beyond. It's also the side of the marina. Everything that side is the marina, and then there's the harbour within the marina. But here we are on the edge of the peninsula, which is sort of over there basically, and this little area is known as Breakwater Beach. The beaches around here are one of two things. They're either like this, which is basically lots and lots of penny sort of shaped pebbles and big sort of rock formations which are quite stoically placed and unmovable, or they're a funny kind of reddish brown sand which it either has iron or clay in it or something like that, and gives the beach a sort of bit of a volcanic look actually. You don't get the white sands around here at all. In fact, it's sort of that colour red really. That's the orangey red that you can get. It's as if these rocks on some of the beaches have been ground to a sort of powder, and not a very thin one either. It's still quite stony, you know. So that is the canoe club over there, because we're very near the lifeboat station, in fact. So I was just sort of moseying on, looking at this way, because I still don't know quite what I'm going to do. I know that the last beach is over there, and then it's the nature reserve, and it very well depends how big the nature reserve is as to whether I'm going to go round it like that and then cut through to go back to the sort of city, the town that way, or whether I'm going to give up and just walk back this way. Seeing as I don't know, therefore, whether I shall be passing this way again, I thought I would do these on the outward journey anyway. So, this is Breakwater Beach, everybody. Have I walked all the way down to the lighthouse? No, I haven't. I doubt you can get into it. It looks pretty small, and that's a fair stroll there, particularly if it does rain again. So apologies for the wind if you can't hear me, but here is Shoalstone Beach, almost entirely made up of big stones, and it's famous for the fact it's got basically an outside pool on the promenade, which is sort of as close to a sea pool, I think, as they can make for swimming. Now the peninsula head is just there. It's called Berry Head, and that apparently is where the nature reserve is. I'm not going any further that way, and that's honest this time. I'm going to head back in that direction, and then I'm going to skirt all the way round that coastline there, all the way round, heads back out and round that corner, and maybe end up at Babbacombe. I'll see how far I get anyway. But first I'm going to go down here, because it does actually say that there is a cafe open, and I haven't actually had a sup. Because what I did was I had breakfast this morning in the Sloop pub in King's Kerswell, which is where we're staying, and then I did a bus ride, and the bus took me everywhere basically. It took me around that coast which I am going to be walking back along, so it went through all the major places, Torquay, Paignton, Preston, all the way round here to Brixham. And now I walk back, but I haven't actually had anything, since breakfast. So, there we are. With no name, in fact. Breakwater Beach, you can see, just beyond where that funny bird is making itself known. Beyond there, that's Breakwater Beach. And the other way is Shoalstone. And this is a little cove in the middle. And this cove does have a little way down. It seems to have everything. So you've got little tiny caves. They don't go very far. They're really just crevices. But there we are. You've got loads and loads of limpets. If I zoom in down here. Now those limpets, that's not just a shell sitting on the rock face there. There are limpets inside them, and they give a little when you first touch them, and then the animal sort of blows bubbles out of it, and suddenly they become absolutely impossible to move. There are a vast array of snails around as well. There's some sort of sea snail in this area here, but I've actually found other things as well. If we zoom in on what looks to be like a funny black blob thing, and there's several of them dotted around, these are sea anemone, in fact. I don't know if you can see that better. And when the water rushes over it, out of the middle bit where the stones have settled, come all the little tentacles for it to eat bits of plankton and the like. Because of the way the rocks are lined up along here, when the tide goes out, it leaves a set of rock pools. It's brilliant. Further close to the sea we've got bladder seaweed. There's some actually extremely large bits of seaweed right down here, you can start to see. And there's evidence that there are large crabs around as well, because there are crab shells scattered about. Obviously the birds have pecked them, those that couldn't escape with the tide, and have eaten them and left the shells. Furthermore, we actually have, as close as we're going to get to white sand over this side here, which I'll just show you before I make my way back up the stairs. Unfortunately, there's also, indications of human littering and stuff like that. But if we look over here, I have actually managed to find, and it may be the only white sand in this whole bay. But there we are. That is actually a little bit of white sand on this little bay here, and those are the steps.